Previously on the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror.
Alright everybody, once again, it's going to be another throwaway episode. Yo, what's up everybody? It is Zankoku bringing you another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror. Lives again. It lives again, my friends. And as I promised all one person who watched my last video, I was going to do a review of Tokyo Gore Police. Unless, of course, I had people saying, don't do Tokyo Gore Police, but no one did because no one watched. Really, no one watched it. And no one's going to watch. I don't care. No one's going to watch this one. Even though Tokyo Gore Police, Tokyo Gore Police, Tokyo Gore Police. Okay, this movie has a little something in common with that Dream Home movie that I did a review of, and that is ultra violence and gore. Except where you would say Dream Home was about, I don't know, an 8 on the 10-point volume scale. This is like an 11. My goodness, it is a vile, nasty, disgusting, gross, poor taste, bad, violent, nasty. I have to say the same things over again. It's because it could be considered repugnant, atrocious, horrible, depraved, irredeemable. But it's a movie, and I will talk about it. Oh man, look at that. There's just nasty stuff going on in the back in there. Anyways, so here's the plot. In the not too distant future, Tokyo's police department is privatized, and the new Tokyo Police Corporation is born, and they have a new threat that has been unleashed upon the masses, and they are called engineers. And engineers are criminals who have a cancer or a little, I don't know, what do you call that, tumor inside them that looks like a key. And what it does is that when they lose a limb, like an arm or a leg or even a head maybe, that grows back a weapon, like a guy lost his arm and a chainsaw arm, rather grotesque by the way, takes its place. And so these engineers pose a horrible threat to the safety of the citizens of Tokyo. And so here we have the main character, Ruka, who is engineer hunter, and she uses her katana, her sword, to fight off these evils. Well, apparently there's a new engineer out there. One who is killing prostitutes and dismembering them and putting them in boxes and draining them of their blood and then putting their blood in little vials next to the body. I don't know. At first I thought maybe he was going to use that blood for something, but yeah, he just left it at the crime scene. I don't know. I guess he wanted to be neat and tidy, you know, have everyone in a box and, you know. Anyways, here's a new expression to woman in a box, right? Anyways, that's a reference to another Japanese movie that's less about the violence and more about... Anyways, never mind. So she is hell-bent to find this guy and bring him to justice, who might actually possibly be the guy who killed her father, who was a police officer before her. At least that's what the movie makes us think at the beginning, but then we find out that people have bad freaking memories in this damn movie, I guess. I mean, it's sort of ridiculous, and actually that's the point of this. This movie is more in the vein of RoboCop, where it's ridiculous, it's over the top, everything is over the top. You remember RoboCop, the violence was just over the top, and the premise was kind of ridiculous, and they took everything to kind of the extreme, and this is just like that. In fact, like RoboCop, there are lots of commercials in this movie for ridiculousness. Like there's an anti-Harikiri commercial where the guy's like, you know, has to like dismember or disembowel himself. Or there's this awesome commercial. It was like a Wii game, except if one of your family members was murdered or was a victim of a crime, you get to play this interactive Wii game where you have the Wii remote that has like a knife attached to it, and you got your the guy who is responsible on the television, and you go whoosh, and then so he gets cut there, whoosh, and he gets cut there. It's fun for the whole family that was a victim of some sort of tragedy. Anyways, it's just, that is batshit crazy. This is one of those moments, or one of those films that you watch and you go, yes, this is that Japan we know, that Japan we all love, that crazy, insane, what the hell is wrong with these people type of movie. I'm sure you've all come across it in one form or another, but this is one of those moments, or movies. My God, I always want to say moment. I don't know. I guess I'm in this moment. Anyways, so let's just get to the scores, right? Let's scores. Okay, let's go to scores. Okay, so violence and gore. What are you gonna guess? What are you gonna guess? Of course, it's a 5 out of 5. I was really actually thinking a 6 out of 5. You know what? Screw that. 6 out of 5. This is probably the most amount of blood and disgustingness that I've probably seen in a movie ever. Honestly, I'm trying to think. I mean, there's Dead Alive or Brain Dead for my international viewers, if there are any, anyways. But that was pretty nasty and disgusting. I mean, Ichi the Killer had some pretty nasty blood, but I mean, this one just, I mean, it was ridiculous. Like, apparently in this universe, the human body holds 50,000 gallons of blood. I mean, the end final boss scene, I guess you could call it, is just totally out of your mind. I mean, that's one of those things, is like, you can't believe, you know, from the beginning of this film, you realize that reality, throw it out the window, reality is gone, man. Reality's dead. It is no longer around. You are, you know, say goodbye to Toto, because Kansas is going bye-bye. Another movie reference. Anyways, it's just nuts, and it's I mean, you've got just legs and arms and heads and faces getting chainsawed, and there is an actual quartering that happens in this movie. If you don't know what a quartering is, well, usually they draw you first to make the quartering easy, but they didn't decide to draw this person. Anyways, yeah, so, I mean, just tons of blood, tons of gore, tons of nasty blood and guts and stuff. So anyway, 6 out of 5. Shock value, I mean, it's definitely shocking. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. No, you know, honestly, I gotta give it a 5 out of 5. I guess I've gotten to a desensitized point. An average normal person watching this film would stop watching and start vomiting after, like, you know, 35 minutes maybe. I don't know. It's almost non-stop. I mean, there's some moments where it's not happening, but I guess it's shocking about what they're doing there and how these things going, and like how, like, you can chop off some junk. Yeah, literally. Sausage gone. And even though it's not really chopped off, I guess it was bit off, wasn't it? Yeah, oh, okay. Anyways, yeah, I guess it's shocking. It is shocking, but toward the end, because it's so ridiculous and there's so much of it, by the end you're almost kind of numb to the whole thing, which is sort of a kind of a detracting point in this, which means it's not as shocking. But then again, I have to say, it's shocking up to the point where it stops being shocking, and where I guess the shocking part was when it would not be shocking. But anyways, so I honestly have to give it a 5 out of 5 for shock value. So let's see, 6 out of 5 for violence and gore, 5 out of 5 for shock value. So why isn't this the best movie ever made? Well, let's get to it. The plot is really, you know, kind of, you know, a police story, kind of a revenge flick, except the plot is kind of out there a little bit. Like, I mean, it's her father's killed. She becomes a police officer. Was raised by the chief of police. The police are privatized. She has to kill the engineers. The engineers are led by a guy who was a scientific genius who saw his father get killed, and instead, well, what he was doing is he was taking the DNA of the world's most notorious killers and serial killers and trying to find a way to like prevent serial killing or whatever, prevent crime, or, you know, stuff like that. I mean, like a serum you could give to the unborn and then they won't have those defects or something anyways. But because he saw his father get killed in front of him, he injects all that DNA into him to make him a super killer. But he ends up committing suicide, but then he doesn't go, he goes to the gates of hell, and hell gives him this thing, which is that, you know, growth thing, tumor that's in the shape of a key. He mass produces it and finds out, he puts it in people, and then he wants to make an army of psychopathic, regenerative, weapon growing monsters, I guess, in a way. So yeah, if you thought my description was confusing, you watch the film and you kind of get the same thing anyway. So, you know, I mean, there's enough there that you kind of know what's going on, but then all of a sudden you get this other girl that shows up and you're like, who is that? And where was she in the rest of the film? And why was she there? And how was she there? And what was it all about? And I don't know, because there's this fight where, I mean, she's really hot, and then she fights the schoolgirl prostitute who's got like I might be giving away too much. Anyways, so yeah, and that's kind of like, where'd that come from? Where'd she come from? I've never heard. And then, like, you know, toward the end, things happen, and like the police report girl, whatever, like, you know, what was her whole, like, you know, what was going to happen with her, and things like that, you know, and just honestly, I gotta give it a 2.5 out of 5. Honestly, if it was more straightforward, it would be like a 3 or 3.5. But honestly, because of those confusing parts, I mean, at least it has a plot, and it's not just, you know, violence for the sake of violence. It is violence for the sake of violence, but there is a story there, and there is some character, and there is some, you know, some development. So I'm going to give it an average score, because, you know, I've seen worse plots. I've seen a lot worse plots. But I've seen a lot better too. So anyways, 3.5 out of 5. Acting, 2.5 out of 5. I mean, some of it's overblown. Some of it I thought was pretty cool. I like her. I like Ruka's character. She's the girl. What was her name again? Eihi Shina, who was also in Audition. She played the psychopath in Audition. So yeah. So I liked her performance, but to be honest, a lot of it was kind of overblown. Though honestly, most of the acting has to, you know, be people screaming in agony as their limbs are getting ripped, torn, chopped, bitten, sliced, blown up, off, all that kinds of crazy stuff. So there you go, 2.5 out of 5. Nudity. This one's actually really difficult because I don't know if you could consider what is in here actual nudity. I mean, I guess there is, but it's not like anything of any kind of quality that you could consider any kind of fan service like nudity. But there is quite the disturbing amount of disturbingness. The chairwoman. You watch the movie, anyone who's watched the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Golden showers for everyone. It could be a 0 out of 5 depending on what you think. If we're talking about prosthetics, you know, then that would be, I guess you would consider that fake nudity. So that would mean all animation is also fake. So it would be a 0 out of 5. But if you consider prosthetics and, yeah, makeup, special effects makeup and stuff like that, so the image or appearance of, I guess I would give it a 2 out of 5. So it goes one way or the other. Okay, so now let's move on. So let's go to enjoyment factor. Enjoyment factor, Honestly, I give it a 3.5 out of 5 for my enjoyment factor, just because the movie's crazy. The movie's shit insane. There's funny parts. There's parts that make your jaw drop to the floor. There's parts where you just go, oh, there's cringeworthy parts. I mean, there's a lot there, but because there's just so much of it, by the end you're just kind of like, oh my god, there's more spray all over the camera. And so you just kind of just go, here, you know, it almost becomes a little tedious in a way. Which, I mean, it's hard to say. It's like I started the violence and the gore started to become tedious. That is hard to say. So it cut back on my enjoyment. I mean, still 3.5 is way better than average, and is an enjoyable movie for sure. And if you're a gore hound and you love violence and nastiness, and you like, you know, quirky, crazy Japanese stuff, you know, it's a good film. But I mean, I gotta say 3.5 out of 5. And my overall impression. So here it is. I'm getting all the points out. This movie is a journey into a sick, twisted, alternate universe, bloodbath-soaked, nasty, disgusting, crazy shitstorm of just all kinds of stuff. And honestly, it keeps you entertained, even if the violence becomes a little bit more, how you would say, I'll use the word tedious again, but 3.75 out of 5. Definitely solid, definitely above average, not excellent, but great. So you got excellence and you got perfect, and then you got great stuff, and then you got like both. So it's you know, it's almost there. So here you go, Tokyo Gore Police. It's hard to do an average because the whole nudity question there. So I mean, I guess we can try to do that real quick here. So let me pause for a second. Okay, so I did the math, and it is a 3.6. I'm rounding up, of course. 3.6 if it's 2 out of 5 for the nudity. 3.2 if it's not. So there's a pretty big difference for 2 points, which is really strange. Well, I guess not. But anyway, so honestly, it's above average movie. It's solid, it's violent, it's gory, it's nasty. Guys, if you love gore and like love violence, check it out. I guess it's not really a horror movie. It's more like an action movie with lots and lots of violence. But I guess it's horrific enough, and I'm going to let it go. So anyways, there you go. Tokyo Gore Police. She is so hot in this movie. My gosh, she is. And then there was like that, there's this like, she's wearing like this sort of half kimono thing, and oh wow, just a cane sword, just whew, dang, man, dang, I mean, seriously, damn, I mean, come on, oh, I mean, she'll probably kill you in your sleep, but it was worth it, man, I bet you it was worth it. Okay, anyways, your links here, as always, your links here. We've got episode 9. That was Why I Love Horror Movies. There it is right there. Tell you about why I love horror movies. And here comes episode 11. What's it going to be? I don't know. Maybe I'll do that Gothic Lolita in Psycho. Or Gothic Lolita Psycho or whatever. Anyways, Gothic and Lolita Psycho. I don't know how they say it. Maybe I'll do that one. I don't know. Let's see, maybe I get more than one person watch this and actually would give me a suggestion in the small amount of time before I actually start doing my prep for this for tomorrow. So anyways, that's it, links, yada yada. Good night and good luck.